What if I told you most people lose friends, opportunities, and even respect because of 6 tiny social mistakes they don't even notice? And the scary part is, you are likely making these errors every single day. Today, we are breaking down 6 timeless psychological principles. Stick around to the end, because principle number 6 is the exact tool the world's most powerful people secretly use to build loyalty. When you overlook these behavioral blind spots, you lose the ability to establish a connection before the conversation has even begun. In 1936, Dale Carnegie published How to Win Friends and Influence People, a book that isolated the exact mechanics of human communication. Almost 100 years later, the biological hardware of human psychology remains exactly the same. People still crave 4 very specific things: attention, importance, appreciation, and emotional connection. Carnegie understood that capturing these desires requires authentic human psychology. He completely rejected manipulative tactics and cheap tricks. Because human emotional hardware is fixed, mastering these century-old principles is the only reliable way to become socially unforgettable. Let's start with principle 1. Become genuinely interested in other people. Here is a brutal truth about human interaction. Most conversations are simply 2 people just waiting for their turn to talk. Even with the massive responsibilities of the presidency, Theodore Roosevelt made it a habit to actively retain minor, personal details about the citizens he met. This leads into principle 2. Smile. Biological emotional mirroring means when one person shifts to a positive state, it instantly triggers a positive reaction in the receiver. But if a smile is fake, the connection breaks, and the brain rejects the interaction. A sincere smile physically alters the environment, lowering social tension before you speak a word. Authentic mental and physical focus acts as a rare emotional currency, allowing you to instantly bypass normal social barriers. Principle 3 takes that connection further. Remember people's names. A person's name is deeply tied to their core identity. When you forget a name, it rarely means you have a bad memory. It happens because you failed to actively listen in the first place. You can fix this with a simple 3-step mechanism. When someone introduces themselves, repeat the name out loud, actively visualize it, and connect it to something familiar. Which brings us to principle 4. Be a good listener. If you want to be interesting, stop trying to be interesting. This flowchart illustrates exactly what happens when someone talks about themselves. As the speaking subject shares their own story, their brain actively releases pleasurable reward chemicals, creating a continuous positive feedback loop. Giving people the floor is an active strategy. It triggers a literal biological reward that makes them deeply value your presence. Now we move to principle 5. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. This requires a complete shift in how you approach communication. Picture a dinner party. One guest talks entirely about his own accomplishments, while the other asks about your passions and your goals. That second person is always infinitely more attractive. If you want to build a network, stop trying to manufacture interest in yourself. Start hunting for what already fascinates the person in front of you. The most socially powerful communicators willingly abandon their own agenda so they can step fully into someone else's world. This brings us to the master rule we mentioned earlier. Principle 6. Make the other person feel important. The desire to feel valued is a deeper, more urgent hunger than the desire for wealth or fame, and most people walk around completely starved of it. But there is a massive catch. It must be sincere. People can spot fake praise instantly, and they will totally reject manipulative flattery. Genuine appreciation sticks with people for years. It's a teacher believing in a struggling student, a boss noticing extra effort, or a partner acknowledging the small things. By being the person who makes others feel valued, you become the person they choose to listen to and follow. None of these actions are complicated, but modern life trains us to focus constantly on ourselves, making them incredibly difficult to execute daily. The tools and technology we use to communicate will constantly evolve. Human emotional triggers will not. So here is a challenge for you. For the next 24 hours, consciously practice exactly one of these 6 principles. Watch how quickly the people around you respond differently. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Dale Carnegie's wisdom, subscribe to Brain Library for more life-changing books explained simply. Because one small shift in how you treat others can be enough to change how they treat you.